Yo, what's up guys? You got pokeaimMD here. Today we're doing the Pokemon Legends Arceus spoiler video on move nerfs in Pokemon Legends Arceus. I want to be clear, this will contain spoilers, so if you do not want to be spoiled on potentially new moves for the game or outdated old moves or nerfed old moves, I don't know, whatever you consider a spoiler. Everybody considers spoilers differently. Me personally, I don't care. You can show me everything and I'll still be just as excited as if I didn't know it. That's just how I am. But I know some people don't want to be spoiled, and I will be talking about not only old moves that are nerfed, but I will also make mention of new moves as well, just in comparison to things. And I may even mention some Pokemon in this one. So again, if you do not want to be spoiled of anything, now is the time to click away. Also, again, we're going to let that go for a little bit because I don't want people to be spoiled at all. But if you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe. I'm Pokeaim, upload multiple Pokemon videos every single day. We got Legends Arceus coming out right around the corner on Friday. A lot of people who've already played it are saying it's a fantastic video, a fantastic game. Excuse me, fantastic video. Well, fantastic video game. But I'm pretty excited myself for it. But if you guys do like these videos, let me know by leaving a like. Also, if there's anything that you ever catch that I missed or anything you want me to talk about with Legends Arceus, feel free to let me know down below. And lastly, right before we just get rid of this spoilers page, that way I think now's enough time. I do have a Best Buy affiliate link. If you guys want to pick up Pokemon Legends Arceus or anything from Best Buy, you actually can support my channel by picking it up down below. US only though, both digital of course and physical copies. Without further ado, let's get into this. So, some moves were nerfed. Actually, a lot of moves were nerfed and some were actually buffed in Pokemon Legends Arceus. Now, I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that there is the two different styles in playing in this game, or at least in attacks in this game, right? So you have the Agile style, and you have the strong style. So the way strong style works, if I'm not mistaken, is that it buffs the strength of a move and its accuracy, but it gets a slower action speed. And the agile style debuffs the damage to get a faster action speed. So by that, I think it's just, action speed is in like when you actually get off the attack versus like turn order and things like that too. So I think in order for them to do with that, right? Because you would not want super strong moves at 120 base power that are even stronger and more accurate. They actually decided to tone down a few of the moves. So I thought this would be a pretty interesting video just to go over the list and just talk about it. But I also wanted to pose the question, what if this is how Pokemon would be in the future? Not necessarily the battling style in this game, but I mean, if Absorb actually got buffed. Whatever. Yeah, okay. You buff Leech Life to be an incredible move and you make Absorb 30 base power instead of 20. But what if, like, instead of the 90 base power on Aqua Tail, now it's 85 for good. Things like that. Or instead of the 120 base power on Close Combat, it's now 100 base power for good. I want to pose that question. What do you think if that happens? Now, you might be thinking, well, that's not too big of a deal because they did already nerf like moves like Flamethrower and stuff from 95 to 90 in the past. But I think one big move that people sometimes forget about that got nerfed was Hidden Power. I mean, obviously it's not in the game, and now it's in this game. It's 50 base power, and it always is super effective, whatever. But before Hidden Power was gone, it was 60 base power, and before it got nerfed, the maximum you could have is 70 base power. And that 70 base power made an absolute difference in KOs on Pokemon like Gliscor and Landorus and Garchomp, right? But then, once it became 60 base power, those mons suddenly be able to live it without even investment and things like that. So it definitely made a difference. So I want to pose that question as we're going through this, and keep that in your mind, and let me know down below what your thoughts on those sort of things. So we're just going to be going through this list. All these moves are still the same, thankfully, which is nice. And obviously some moves also got changed as well. But we see Aqua Tail here going from 85 base power, or from 90 base power to 85 base power. I guess, again, this has to deal with the whole strong style type thing, just because it has 90 accuracy. So it's higher accuracy and higher power, so they just want to make it too crazy. Or it's just still 80, which is nice. We see Brave Bird going from 120 to 100 base power. And I wonder also if this has to do with, like, speed style, because like, if you think about Staraptor, right? If Staraptor uses speed style and it gets faster and it can use potential bulk with it as well, and like it would be crazy if it got also too strong with that too. I barely spoke English in that sentence, but I knew what I meant to say. So this actually is interesting too, because you see how this 120 base move is 100 base power. Now if we go to, and shout out to Roy, by the way, for this whole doc. I'll link that down below for those that want to see the entire thing. But yeah, so this is interesting because, Headlong Rush is a ground type attack that Ursaluna gets. as well as Torterra, which is why I think it's ground type, because Torterra gets it. And it's 100 base power, 100% accuracy, 5 PP, right? You know what else is 5 or 8 PP? Close combat. So the user smashes into targets in full body tackle. This also lowers the user's defensive stats. So this is 100 base power, earthquake type thing that can lower your stats. I feel like with this whole thing, especially if we go into a new Gen 9, there's no way this stays at 100 base power. There is no reason to use this attack over Earthquake, right? Earthquake has better PP, it has the same accuracy, it has the same power, and it doesn't lower my defensive stats. So I'm assuming that this Headlong Rush, which is going to be the close combat equivalent of a ground type attack, will go up to 120 in future generations. Otherwise, why the hell would you use it over Earthquake, right? Or Earthquake is just far superior. But Bear was one we saw. We saw Bug Buzz go from 90 to 80, and this is like something we're going to see a lot on these moves, right? They go down at least 5 or 10 base power. Burning Jealousy, I know Envy's happy about this. Burning Jealousy went from 70 base power to 100 base power. That would actually make it such a legitimate move. Like if it actually, and again, I'm talking about this as in, not necessarily in this game, but as in like in future games and stuff. Like, oh, my dog's sleeping around there. She's so cute. You guys can't see her, but she's so cute. She's just sleeping on a pile of clothes in the corner. But some sweaters I have to put away. But yeah, so Burning Jealousy going from 70 to 100 base power is actually a pretty big difference, because originally it was just like, it's an okay thing that's slightly stronger than Hidden Power, and things like Thievel got it, and it wasn't necessarily anything too crazy for Thievel, but it was still coverage. But making it 100 base power it's stronger than Flamethrower at that point, right? So that's actually a legitimate move that can KO Pokemon like Scizor and Ferrothorn and stuff, whereas before you would miss out on those KOs. And I'll show the damage calc. And this is why they find this stuff really interesting, right? It's kind of hard to like theory mon what would happen out of this, but let's just put Thievel. So Thievel 300 with Modest, right? Burning Jealousy 70 base power. Let's look at Ferrothorn, right? So that's barely a 2-hit KO on. That's a 33% chance of 2-hit KO after leftovers, right? But obviously, if it's 100 base power, right? That's look how much that's doing. And then even on specs, and that's on Modest, right? Timid is probably killing with a spike. Yeah, exactly. 92 to 109. So that is a pretty big buff. On top of that, if you actually set up, On top of that, if you actually set up as well, you're still getting burnt by its secondary ability. So the moves like this that were not like as good, but had a cool secondary effect for like VGC and things like that. I like this. I like this a lot. It means the Pokemon that actually get Burning Jealousy, and we can actually look at Showdown as well. Just why not, right? Why not? Let's just do this, just to see like things that could actually be buffed by it. And this is like the whole point of this video, right? We're theory modding, but it should be Burning Jealousy. So I mean, it's already, well, the thing about Burning Jealousy isn't Burning Jealousy also a low PP move? Let me put Thievel real quick just to see. Yeah, it's 8 PP. So I was thinking, oh yeah, on like Heatran, that'd be stronger than Flamethrower. On specs, you would use that, but no, it's 8 PP, and I would already use Overheat anyway. But yeah, Burning Jealousy in terms of filter, some mons that it might buff. Most of these you use Flamethrower on. Obviously on Cursula, I think that's a big thing. It means 145 base power. On Grimmsnarl, that actually would be a legitimate thing too, right? And then, you have like Persian and the others that are not dark types, and maybe even Zoroark would use it too, or Flamethrower on spec sets, because specs aren't necessarily, wants to be able to pick up a KO, so that would actually make a difference in terms of that. So we also have Close Combat being nerfed. We already mentioned that. I think a lot of that has to do with the strong style and agile style in the game itself. Corrosive Gas is now 20 base power. So Corrosive Gas, what it did was it would it allows you to poison, if I'm not mistaken, it's like Salazzle's ability, isn't it? It can basically no. What am I even talking about? It gets rid of the item. It gets rid of the item. So it burns the item off of the opponent, which is really ironic that it's 20 base power, because you know what else was 20 base power that gets rid of the item to the opponent, but then they got an insane buff? Knockoff. It should have been Salazzle's ability, by the way. But Corrosive Gas gets rid of their items, so now it's actually doing damage. I don't know if it's in terms of like new mechanics and stuff, if it actually does anything else, because we can just look at the dock right here and do that. That's old moves, no new mechanics. I don't see anything with Corrosive Gas right now, but update status. I don't want to click on these and super spoil like certain things, though I don't mind talking about new evolution things, because I think they're pretty cool to add. But one thing I do want to add in that note is that like they have like a link cable item. That means you can you can evolve your Pokemon, and this is something that Pokemon should have anyway, right? We're in we're in 2022, right? I shouldn't have to trade my Pokemon with somebody around the world and have friends. Not that I don't have friends, but like not everybody does. And maybe you're young and shoot, you don't even have internet, right? Or I mean, everybody should have internet now, but you know what I mean. It was different back when I was a kid, but. I like that there's this item that's like a link cable that you give to Pokemon that would usually have to trade to evolve, and they'll evolve because it kind of like replicates that link trade. And I think that's how Pokemon should be anyway, right? I shouldn't. Link trades are a thing of the past. I saw Pokemon challenges post like, social media is a big thing. Maybe post your Pokemon on Twitter, which would be incredible marketing, and then your Pokemon evolves, right? That'd be insane, right? Pokemon doing something like that. But yeah, Corrosive Gas being 20 base power is so funny to me because that's exactly what Knockoff was before it got buffed. So that's so funny to me. Crush Grip is 100 base power now instead of dependent on the HP the target has left. So that's actually a pretty big buff for Regigigas as well. And if this is something that stays, especially if it, I don't know if it's like it stays at 100 and then from there it goes down or up, because that would make sense with this. But if it actually just starts at 100 period, if the Pokemon's at full, I think that's a big buff for Regigigas because Regigigas doesn't really have a strong move right now, right? Return and Frustration aren't something it could use. So I think that's a pretty cool one. Like, they're not in the game. Dark Void also got buffed from 50 to 90. I think a lot of this has to do with the Drowsy status, though. So Drowsy is how they replace Sleep, and the Pokemon is Drowsy and may fail to act. Any damage it also takes is also increased. This replaces Sleep. I think this is actually a ridiculous thing, though. I think it's more broken than Sleep, personally, right? Because Sleep is broken in every generation that's 5 and below, right? Sleep is absolutely broken in any generation that's 5 and below. 5 had the problem of if you switch out, it's 1 to 3 turns, but if you switch out, your Sleep turns get reset. So let's say your Breloom's in, or not Breloom, because Breloom would probably be the Pokemon put in Sleep. They actually banned Sleep in Gen 5, which is funny. But let's say your Ferrothorn, because Ferrothorn could be poked to sleep by Spore in that generation. Ferrothorn's in, gets put to sleep by Spore. You burnt 2 turns, you still haven't woken up. You decide to switch because they finally go out to Heatran or something, right? So you switch out. Now you reset all your sleep turns. So it's still the same thing as before. So you're gonna have to wake up in 3 turns. Sleep is basically dead, right? And that's broken in its own right. But this is even more broken, right? Because it makes you fail to act as if I was a damn traded Pokemon that doesn't know that, yeah, I'm your trainer now. And also you take increased damage. Ridiculous. But yeah, but Dark Void being 90 though, I kind of hope this is something that carries on. I don't like that they completely nerfed Darkrai, period. And this is why, also again, this video is just me thinking of stuff. But I don't like that they completely nerfed Darkrai at all. Because they only had to make it that only Darkrai could use the move. They decided that only Darkrai can use Dark Void, and also it's 50% accuracy. Like, what? I understand Smeargle is a damn problem with Dark Void, right? But only one of those things had to be done to fix it up. Dazzling Gleam, 75 base power. Double Hit has no power, and it's considered a status move. So that is insane. I want to see how that actually ends up changing. And then we have all the 121s being 100. Draco Meteor being 130, which I think is interesting too. Also, they changed Double Edge's PP as well. This is the new PP. Yeah, they changed Double Edge's PP as well. Interesting. I guess because these moves are maybe too much, which is why they're nerfed as well with the style as well. Why is Double Hit? Come on, bro. Free my boy Ambipom. Draco Meteor, 130 to 110. And this is already, like, 130 was already a nerf anyway, right? Like, they got to do so much for dragons. They made a fairy type. They nerfed Draco Meteor, and now they nerf it again. Again, I just assume it's just way too strong in this game. The Dragon Pulse also nerfed. Earth Power nerfed too. Eerie Spell went from... Oh, how did it go from 80 to 100? Eerie Spell was, if I'm not mistaken, that was Galarian Slowking's move, right? Galarian Slowking. There you go, brother. Removes 3P for the target's last move. I wonder if it's very similar, because this is actually a pretty big... This is a decent move on like a stall version of it, because it was relatively weak and you got more out of Psychic. You got more out of Psyshock because it hits on the physical side. And you also got more out of Future Sight. It wasn't necessarily used on this Pokemon. Maybe on block sets, But besides that, it wasn't necessarily a move. But if Eerie Spell actually went to 110, and why is it like, is it considered a new move here? That's weird. Is it not Psychic type? Because Eerie Spell is a move we had in the past. Also, it went to 35 PP. What? It went from 8 to 35 PP. Yeah, okay, so that's also another reason why this move wasn't used in the past, because it was 8 PP. And like, again, this mon is a mon that's usually there for longevity. It's usually there for a while. So you got 8 PP on your stab move. You're not doing anything. But 35 PP, 100 base power? Huh. Yeah, I wonder if the viability goes up on that move. Your world may never know. Energy Ball, that's to that. Expanding Force went from 80 to 85. Maybe question mark means they're not in the game, but why would there be data if it's not in the game? Also, Expanding Force at 85 is just crazy because like Ndidi and stuff like that goes a little bit crazy too. We also see Fire Blast on 10. Yeah, we already knew that got nerfed. Or we would assume that got nerfed. Yeah, Flare Blitz, the 120s to 100s. Flip Turn went from 60 to 70. I wouldn't actually mind a 70 base power Flip Turn, period. Especially when we do end up getting Basket Legion and stuff. Because let me get a Pokemon that actually learns Flip Turn. Let's get Primarina out here. You know, Flip Turn's 60, 32, right? But then you have Scizor with U-Turn. And is it like it's the exact same thing? Why was this 70 and 132 and this literally the exact same thing but just 60? I think 70 is completely fine, right? And I think it would make Pokemon like Basket Legion and Basculin even just better. That's a good buff that I would like. Giga Impact went from 150 to 120. I wonder if you still have to charge after the move as well. Again, this is just all like looking at what actually changed and how it would affect Pokemon. I do think if Hydro Pump actually went from 110 to 100, and it already being nerfed from 120 to 110 was crazy for Hydro Pump as well. Like that made Pokemon like Starmie not be a giant threat, even though if you look at BDSP, it's one of the biggest threats in the game. But that's also because we have a limited dex, right? There's no Ferrothorn, there's no Eviolite, and certain things like that. So I do think that would be too much for Hydro Pump, and I don't think you'd see it on most Pokemon. Even Greninja might not even run it just because Surf is still decent in that regard. And the Hex is still the same, which is interesting considering all the other, like, the Hexes they gave Pokemon were 60 base power as well. Like, their signature moves are all, like, versions of Hex, or at least, like, the Infernal Parade and stuff like that. Ice Ball went from 30 to 40. Is that why they gave it to random Pokemon too? Like Electrode and stuff? I think 40 base power Ice Ball would actually be something that would be good on Galarian, or Hisuian Electrode going forward, right? Because Ice Ball, if I'm not mistaken, it just gets stronger and stronger for every single turn, right? So let's look at Walrein, my favorite Ice Baller. My favorite Ice Ball, that's clean. Power doubles with each hit, right? So it goes 30 to 60, but 40 to 80 from 30 to 60, there's a huge difference there, right? Plus you get a super effective damage too, so right, so like it'd be already 60 base. It's effectively using like hidden power, 60 base power versus a Pokemon that's super effective on, and it's even stronger than that if the Pokemon's 4 times. So like that would actually be something that I would like use them more, and you might even see, like I said, if Hisuian Electrode does end up coming into a future game and it does still have Ice Ball, and Ice Ball's still 40, that's actually a good last move tech, right? Because you have a Revolt Switch, Thunderbolt, you have your Energy Ball or your Chloroblast, which is the Steel Beam version of Grass type attacks, and I think it would definitely have Ice Ball, even though it's physical. I don't like the 90 to 80 base power Ice Beam, bro. At that point, like it's like I was about to say, it's like the Fangs, dude. They're 65 and 75. There's a reason why Pokemon don't use Ice Fang; they use Ice Punch, right? Only in BDSP they use Ice Fang because they don't have access to Ice Punch. So I do not like that. At all. I like the increase from 55 to 60 for Icy Wind. I think anything with a little bit more base power is completely fine. Also makes it a little bit more viable and better on Technician users. Just a little bit stronger on Technician users as well. It was already strong. Lash Out goes from 75 to 150. Is that just because it's just constantly doing double the damage? If so, that'd be insane. Imagine 150 at double the damage. This is definitely not going to be something that's consistent. We have 90 to 85. It's really weird. It's because they have a crit chance as well. I feel like that's odd. Anything else that looks buff? Magma Storm went from 100 to 90, but I think it has higher accuracy. I feel like this accuracy is inaccurate because I saw a few things as well. Basic Explosion went from 100 to 120. Mud Slap went from 20 to 30. Why are they buffing just random moves? Okay, this is an insane buff, all right? right here. This one right here. If, and also that becomes fixated on using this move. Oh, okay, so that's why they made, again, this move, everybody's telling me Raging Fury was a fire type outrage, and the only reason I didn't see it is because it was 90 base power, but I didn't realize that obviously outrage also got nerfed from 120 to 90 base power, so that makes sense. An outrage, a fire type outrage, which is cool. This would be an insane buff. Imagine a Pin Missile, instead of 25 was 40. Now, you're probably wondering, why was that an insane buff? What one Pokemon in competitive Pokemon uses Pin Missile? Okay, I guess there's two. Technically, if you count Cloyster with Pin Missile, because that's a way of it beating like Slowking and stuff, and Slowbro. But if Megas were to come back and Mega Heracross has Pin Missile, I just want to run this damage count just for the sake of it. Just for the sake of it. So let's go Adamant. Pin Missile, let's do, what is it, 40 base power? I mean, is that not enough for you? A non-super effective hit is killing a Ferrothorn, right? And it's almost doing, it's almost like, it's like the 15% difference between close combat and that. That's an insane buff, man. What else would it hit with Pin Missile? Let's see Landorus, how much Choice Scarf Landorus would take. Look at the difference, bro. Dude, that would be absolutely insane if it was 40 base power. And Megas came back. Obviously, that needs two things, right? That needs the move to actually still be insane in the next generation, or Gen 9 or whatever these Pokemon will be allowed in. Because I firmly believe we'll either get Gen 9 this generation, or we'll have some type of DLC for Sword and Shield or BDSP or whatever. Maybe not BDSP, but maybe Sword and Shield, just because there's VGC, and I feel like they're not going to let them play the same thing with nothing, no real changes. I don't know. That's why I firmly believe we'll get these. Obviously, Mega Heracross and stuff. Megas, I don't know when they'll come back, if they ever will. I kind of hope they do, but like as a non-item type of thing, just as a side thing. But then again, I don't want Megas to be able to hold items at the same time. But that would be an insane buff. Poison Sting is whatever. Poltergeist from 110 to 120 is too much. And 100% accuracy? No, thank you. All right, that's too much. All right? Not only is it... Alolan Marowak, you are eating good, my friend. Not only do you not have to worry about missing, but you're stronger as well. Oof. If that was in there, oof. That's something that'd be cool too. Roar of Time is 120. That move sucks anyway, unless they buffed it. Rollout is 40. About to use Miltank, the mascot. I think this is a pretty big one too. Scale Shot being 30, 25 to 30. Garchomp with Swords Dance, Scale Shot, absolutely crazy, right? But some of the big things with Garchomp is that, like, you usually get 2 or 3 hits, and it's just not enough to KO. But let's see. Let's just run a little calc. All right, we have Swords Dance. Let's see. That's barely 2-hit KOing after Intimidate, which Intimidate isn't even there. Let's put Intimidate, and let's put +2. So that's that. 63 to 75. Let's make that boy 30 base power. And that does 76 to 90%. Look at the difference, right? You have a chance to kill with rocks, right? It makes a big difference. And even on like defensive landers, so let's go absolute max defense. Like, you're doing 45 to 54%. Again, a chance to 2-hit KO. You basically 2-hit KO with rocks. Approximate 2-hit KO with the Stealth Rock, which is something that it wasn't able to do before, right? So, and that's not to mention, you know, Life Orb as well, right? Life Orb, 30 base power. That's too much. That's way insane. And even -1 defense, Landers isn't killing you back. 78 to 90. I mean, give you Life Orb maybe. But yeah, that's ridiculous. That's actually crazy. That'd be an insane buff that I would not mind as well. But it'd be broken. Scorching Sands, 70 to 80. I like it. Seed Flare, 120 to 100. I do not like that. The self-destruct stuff, I don't like that either. 70 to 80. Skitter Smack. Nobody uses that move anyway. Snarl, 55 to 60. VGC players in shambles right now. That 5 base power difference, I bet it makes a difference too. Even though Snarl is always used for its secondary ability too, I bet it makes a difference. Spikes and Stealth Rock being 40 base power, but they changed the way they work. So the way Spikes and Stealth Rock work is that it has been changed. It's now a field effect for multiple moves called Jagged Splinters. Multiple moves can cause a field effect at the end of each turn the Pokemon is hurt by the Jagged Splinters digging into it. So it's actually an attack, right? In a sense, right? You're actually like, it's like a field spell, right? It's like a field spell. So you're actually doing it's actually doing damage to the Pokemon. So I mean, a lot of Pokemon got spikes now, which I think is pretty cool too. Like Gliscor actually ended up getting spikes. And I talked about new move buffs in a previous video. I also talked about my competitive thoughts. If you guys want to check those out on the Pokemon and their stats and stuff before I even knew the moves, in another video too, if you guys want to check that out too. When you use Judgment, own type changes to super effect against the target. It also previews type you'll change to. For example, against a Golem, you can't choose whether you want grass or water. It'll probably choose it at random like conversion too. Okay. Yeah, that's a pretty big one. Obviously with Stealth Rock as well, that's a big change too. I think Steel Beam got nerfed here, but it also does less damage to yourself. I think it's 33% if I'm not mistaken too, which I think is a pretty big one as well for Steel Beam. I actually think it should be like that too. I also think that Steel Beam should be like that, and I also think that Mind Blown should be like that too. I don't think they should be taking out exactly half of your health. I don't like that at all. Like I never liked. I use those moves, but I don't like the drawback of them. And checking if anything else in particular got a buff. That's about it, right? So, what are you guys' overall thoughts? I do think some of these don't make too much of a difference. Obviously, a lot of them are just for this game in general, and I'm sure that, like I said, unless close combat stays at 100 base power, it'd be crazy to see like the tone down of Pokemon, right? In terms of power, right? You'll see a close combat versus a Chansey. Let's see. Let's just do a little calc as well. What Pokemon will close combat a Chansey? You know what? Let's make a really strong close combat just because. Let's go Conkeldurr. OU Guts. Now that's bold. 120 of this, but what if it was 100 base power? 106. Maybe Chansey's not the right Pokemon. Let's see Skarmory. Yeah, Skarmory having a chance to guarantee 2 KO. No Stealth Rock up. Skarmory only being 2 KO'd 50% of the time versus like a guaranteed 2 KO. Like that would be an insane difference. But I feel like obviously a lot of this has to do with this game, but I do think some of the changes would be really cool for future games, like with Burning Jealousy. I do like the Corrosive Blast actually does damage as well and consider it an attacking move instead of just a move that can be taunted. I like that a lot. I like that poison types are getting their own. I hope that's something that stays because I would like that poison types get their own type of knockoff. In fact, I would love if Corrosive Gas actually becomes just like knockoff. Instead of just 20 base power here, you just. Because, I mean, that's when knockoff started, right? Instead of at 20 base power, why don't you just go further and make it 65 base power, then 97.5 when you got it? Because Corrosive Gas, let's see which Pokemon learned this. Gengar could get a knockoff. Me already has. Nihilego. Yeah, like, this will be, I mean, Guzzler already has it, but this is, it's not like it's even widely distributed, right? Like, Toxic already is knockoff, Tentacle already gets knockoff, but Skuntank getting its own type of knockoff would be so cool. I think Skuntank should get a knockoff anyway. And same thing with Salazzle. The Salazzle can already toxic that, but they say they with Garbodor. But I think it'd be a really nice buff. But yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts on the moves. Do you think it's just gonna be? And I know this video felt like whatever, but it was on my mind and I want to talk about it and I want to really pose that question. If these changes were in future games, how would you feel about them? Personally, I do not like the flamethrowers and the and I didn't really touch on it too much, but I don't like the flamethrower and for the 90 to 80, like I do not like that at all, man. I do not like that at all. That is so weak, right? You know, we used to be so happy when a Pokemon got flamethrower as coverage and stuff like that, but like an Ice Beam and Thunderbolt, but them be 80 base power, bro. That's basically like that's basically like Ice Punch and stuff like that, and it's just so weak, man. Bro, imagine Ice Beam with a Gliscor. And, I mean, it's already rough enough for some people when they Ice Beam Gliscor, right? Like, let's go Gastrodon. Let's just go Gastrodon and Gliscor. Let's just Ice Beam. Okay, Ice Ball, sorry. He's 65 to 78, bro. 57 to 63. Gliscor barely even has to roost to avoid that. I think another big one would be like Dragonite though, right? Because and Slowbro. I think this is a more realistic one. Ice Beam does 40 to 47, so at 80 base power, that would do 35 to 42. And let's get rid of multi-scale, bro. That has a chance to not kill with Stealth Rock, even with Stealth Rock up. Like that's an insane thing, dude. I don't like that. I do not like that. And I'm sure there's other calcs that I'm missing out on that really are important as well. But I just remember specifically that when hidden power got changed from 70 to 60, all these Gliscors, Landorses, Garchomps, and 4x weak Mons just started chewing on these HP Ices and HP Fires when previously they would drop after even a little bit of damage or no damage. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. Let me know other videos you want to see for Pokemon Legends Arceus. I'm always down to talk and theory on and do stuff like that. I think there's a lot of cool stuff here as well that we can talk about. But yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.